Welcome back. Well, yes, that is the next focus here today on the program. So two people to weigh into this matter. But first, let's attempt to get across to Mr. Dennis Macrae, who is a former assistant director with the SSS. He joins us via Skype this morning. Mr. Macrae, can you hear us today?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
All right, good morning. And so this conversation, this matter particularly, we do know is been on for a while, but give us your impression with this new twist, the arrest and the video confession circulating now about what the arrested Wadume, the suspected kidnap kingpin, has said. What do you think of it?
It's rather very, very unfortunate because when you come to have this kind of situation, an investigation panel is going on, and apparently it looks like the investigation is being done on the social media, and that is not very, very good because we expected when they arrested him to take him down to that investigation panel to do all kinds of confession that he wants to do.
Does that change anything now that the video is out? He's in the custody of the police who themselves are investigating the matter.
Well, they have to use the facts that are available because even whether he made it outside the panel or inside the panel, it's still part of the investigation. But the revelation also are very, very damning. I think I am very worried because it's a situation where the military and the police are now coming to clash. The military is bringing out their own press release, and then the police is also coming up with another counter press release, and it's all just very nasty. I think now that they've agreed to have a joint panel, they should sort things out there before they bring it to the public.
This panel that has been set up by the military high command to ensure that they have better relations between the army and the police, do you think this throws spanners in the works?
Well, it shows that things were not working well. There is an irregularity being trying to be corrected. Like I've said in earlier interviews, the military should be kept out of internal security, and these are the results of those kind of problems that we envisaged, because they are not used to the civilian population, and they should not be. If the police is inadequate, I believe that they should be able to train the police, fund them more, and let the police do their job. Otherwise, we'll be having this kind of situations where the military is involved, and of course, the military usually will not even take instructions from the police when it comes to a joint patrol situation.
Yeah, Mr. Macrae, what do you make of the confession by this man? He said, and I quote, "From there, the soldiers took me to their headquarters and cut off my handcuffs and released me. I went back to my house and police came to rearrest me." It seems like some serious indictment on one security agency there.
Yeah, very, very revealing. Very, very revealing. And I think it has brought out the underbelly of what has been going on. In fact, that even give us a throwback on what General Danjuma was saying, that some of the military people have, sold out to either bandits or kidnappers or terrorists. So this is very, very revealing. And I think besides the initial denial by the Army headquarters, they should look at it properly, because some of the field officers in the field are doing something contrary to the rules of engagement. supporting kidnappers, and there are other allegations about whether he bought this particular kingpin has bought cars for the kidnapper or been giving money to them, etc., etc. So it is very, very revealing and very, very sad.
What do you expect to hear from the inquiry panel that's been set up, with this kind of revelation now? What do you expect? What are your expectations from that panel?
Well, I hope that they are not being carried away, because they are also saying that they are disappointed that certain information is being put in the public space. I think they should diligently do what they are doing. It's a multi-agency task force, and they should come up with a dispassionate report on what actually happened. And then, of course, that report should be used to correct certain things. But the way it is going, I'm not very, very happy, because the police is on their own, the military, the army especially, is on its own, and acting outside what the panel actually is doing. So they should call them to order. This is not for public consumption. Bring all the information you have, and then let them look at it, and then, of course, make a final decision of their findings.
Now, I'd like to stay with what you said. You have said you're not happy with the way things are panning out. In fact, you have said this is perhaps turning into a social media trial. There are reports in the dailies that the panel set up by the army is not exactly excited that this video was released. So we're seeing what might be some form of interagency rival, and we all know that is not good for the nation's security. So moving forward, part of the recommendations you'll make, I'd like you to tell Nigerians, how do you feel these panels should come together, address this, so we don't have interagency rivalry?
Well, you've said it all. There is an interagency rivalry that is going on, and then, of course, they should stop it. I think the chairman of the panel have to step in right now and stop both agencies, police and the army, because what they are doing is not just good for the investigation they are carrying out. And the reason for this particular investigation is to see how these agencies can work in synergy. So for them to now start carrying that thing out, it tells you deep-rooted disregard for each other and rivalry. And that's why, bringing the army, especially into internal security, make them feel that, yes, they are part of it. They are supposed to do it. Is part of their job description. But, of course, that is not it. It is only when the police are overwhelmed that they could invite the army to come and assist. But, now that we've involved them in up to 32 states, I think this is something that the government, which is coming out with a new cabinet, should start thinking about. Where are we really wanting the army to be in the public space with besides defending the external territorial integrity of the country?
So now, the country will expect a report from this panel. And in the manner of speaking, just wondering, what do you think that this panel is going to eventually come up with? Because if this video is out there, something there can only be one result. What do you think?
It's like we already know like Nigerian movies, we already know the outcome from what is going on right now. So if the panel looks at everything, I think they should come up with the total decision to tell us that this was wrong, it shouldn't happen. The Wadume man himself should face the music. And of course, those accessories, people who compromised their official position to help him, should also answer. They have questions to answer in court. And if they take them to court, and if the court prosecute them, and, of course, pass judgments on them, so be it. But I think we cannot sweep this house under the carpet anymore, because every Nigerian is expecting to see how this is going to pan out.
Just to be clear, there are 3 panels currently. There's one by the police, there's one by the president, and defense. So how do we marry these panels? Imagine the panels come up with 3 different reports, for example. So which should take preeminence, as it were? How do we marry them together?
I think there was no need for even the police or the army to set up any kind of panel besides that one that was set up by the president or the Minister of Defense. So I think we should have only one. There is no reason. If the police want to do an internal investigation on their own, that's fine. Or the army itself, if they want to do it, but that should not, have any part to play in the one that the president have set up. And the decision or the findings of that particular panel is what we should rely or look forward to.
The Joint Security Panel, yes, they expected to come up with the report, but the ones that the army set up, the police set up, they can do that for their internal purposes, can't they?
Exactly.
All right. Mr. Dennis Omakwe, former Assistant Director with the SSS, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's get to Abuja and get another perspective on the same matter. Makwe.
Thank you, Chamberlain. We have with us this morning Olatunbosun Abolariwa, who is a security consultant. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, you have been following also the controversy of, between the police and the military, especially the army, in the wake of the crisis that happened in Taraba, where 3 policemen were shot, and subsequently, a suspected kidnapper was on the loose. But thank God he's been captured now, and he was made to face the cameras, where he gave his confession. What do you make of the scenario, and how do you think that, do you think that now with the capture of this man, perhaps we can now begin to focus on repairing relations between the police and the Nigerian army?
Okay. I wouldn't want to say this is about relation between the police and the Nigerian army. Don't forget that this is coming out at the end of a very high-heated kidnapping cases all over the country. We have kidnapping, we are blaming this and that, and suddenly this happened. And it is so damning on our international image, because kidnapping in Nigeria, kidnapping and abductions in Nigeria did not only affect Nigerians. Foreign citizens are being targeted and affected as well. And they are looking at us now. And about 5 policemen were killed by 2 agencies that were supposed to be working together, sisters agencies. How this became...
On this particular matter?
No.
On another matter?
We've been having armies intervening as a joint patrol, joint task force in solving security issues all over the country for more than 25 years now. And it has not stopped. We have operation measures in Lagos.
No, when you talk about 5 policemen, I was wondering whether it was for this attack.
Yeah, for this attack. There are 5 policemen that were killed. That is a murder case. They were killed in cold blood. That calls for investigation. The people who carried that out are supposed to face the music. They're supposed to be investigated, sanctioned, and possibly tried. Exactly why that is not happening now, I don't know. But I don't want to believe that the panel being set up by the president has got anything to do with why those military officers were not handed over to the police for proper investigation. Perhaps, maybe the military are carrying out their own investigation, which they have not come to say to the public. Maybe there is court-martialing. I'm reading in the newspaper today that the police officer that killed, the military man that killed somebody in Abia has been investigated by the military, has been dismissed, and has been handed over to the police for investigation. This is good. I hope the military will repeat the same thing in this particular incident. And if they are not going to do that, they should face the world and tell us why that is not going to happen.
So, but in the meantime, you want to be patient and see what eventually happens, because we understand that a certain captain, as an officer in the military, the Nigerian army, is already being investigated. We remember that there were reports of 191 chats being found between himself and the suspected kidnapper. But it does show the resolve of the police to, you know, pick up this man, because eventually he was arrested, was it 2 days ago, somewhere in Kano. What's your reading of it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's a big relief. It's a big relief to me as a professional in this field. It's a big relief to me as a Nigerian, because my friends from the international community are already calling me and asking me questions, because they are also a stakeholder in this. I hope his confession is going to help a broader investigation, not only this particular incident, because there has been victims in the past who has been affected by this. There is also a little snag in the system that really, a darkness that more light needs to be shed on. Do we have somebody in the military hiding kidnapping in the country and benefiting from it? What does that do? What does that do to our international image? So I want to use this media to appeal to the panel and whoever that is carrying out any investigation to make it holistic, not only this incident. The military officer, if culpable of what is alleged to have been done, should be investigated and should be sanctioned. I also want to appeal to the government to work together on how the military are going to be a little bit withdrawn from the internal security of the cities. When this happens, this is what we get. When it happens over time, the militaries have been killing, we have several different issues. Yeah, there is a procedure when the police fail and felt that they can't go forward, they will need to make a request to the military to assist them in bringing a particular situation under control. But not the police, not the army coming in to take over to the extent that it leads to the life of police officers. These officers that are there are also fathers, husbands of somebody. They are a member of the public. And in order for this not to repeat itself, we need to take advantage of this particular incident to make sure that we holistically deal with it and send a clear signal and lesson to whoever that is thinking of repeating this kind of incident.
Well, some people will say that whether or not they're involved in, internal security operations, the rivalry between sister agencies has always been there, and that, it's just left for countries to manage them better. Okay. How do you see that now, happening with the bad blood that seems to have, come up as a result of this incident?
Okay. I'm aware of the fact that the previous Ministry of Police Affairs set up a training workshop and project called Interagency training. When I look at the details of that training, it's a capacity building project that is supposed to enhance this relationship. So that has not happened in the last 5 years. The training has not happened. I'm hoping that the introduction of the Ministry of Police Affairs and the current Ministry of Defense will still come together to create this capacity building. When capacity is something that you build up, there's tendency of capacity dropping. So the capacity has dropped in the last 5 years. I want the Minister for Police Affairs, the Minister for Interior, the Minister for Defense to come together and put together a robust platform, workshop, training that will make them realize that we're working together to save 200 million people, not a rival.
We will come back and wrap this up, because I can already see an agenda for the ministers who were just newly sworn in for this. Some people will say new ministries, even though the Police Affairs Ministry is not exactly new. But we'll come back and touch on it when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. Olatunbosun Abolarin is still with us in the studio. He's a security consultant. And just before we went on break, he seemed to be setting an agenda for the new Minister of Police Affairs. Do you think it's a good development that we now have a Ministry for Police Affairs? Yeah,
it is a good development, because the police has been on autopilot for the past 4 years.
Autopilot, weren't they under the Ministry of Interior?
They were there under the Ministry of Interior, but You can see what has happened in the last 4 years. I personally see that the police were seriously neglected. The best of the past 4 years were just fracas between the police, IG, and the former ministers of Interior, which really affected the operation of the police. There's nobody. In the UK, the Home Office is backing the police up. In the US, the State Homeland Security is backing the police. In Nigeria, we need the Ministry of Police Affairs.
Okay, so that has now been created, and you are saying now that there should be a platform created by both the Ministries of Defense, Police Affairs. Which other one did you add?
Police Affairs and Interior.
Okay, to come together and put together...
And put together an interagency coordination and harmony platform, which shouldn't be just one-off, because this problem we've been having it time and time again. The army and the police are always having issues and everything. The Navy and the police had it in the Niger Delta recently. So we need to put a project in place. It's an interagency project.
Yeah.
It's a training, it's a workshop,
yes,
which is going to be continuous, enhancing perfect relationship. You see, the moment the person that is supposed to be watching you is now afraid for his own life, it's a bad omen on that outfit. So I wonder how the anti-kidnapping unit of the police will feel now to go anywhere to work, especially in the areas where army are operating.
Just wondering,
we
know that increasingly the Nigerian military, Nigerian military is being called in to be involved in internal security operations. And oftentimes we know that that's supposed to be the core function of the police. People say that the police should take leadership. Do you think that the police has taken leadership in some of these operations? And if they've not, do you think that should change?
I want to believe that the police are not actually taking leadership. They are in leadership position. What we are having is unnecessary intervention, like we've just seen now. They went out after a kidnapper. They have intelligence. The kidnapper was on.
But that's not always the situation, is it?
That's not always the situation, but let's focus on this particular one for now. They are actually doing what they are supposed to do. They arrested a lot of questions needs to be answered. Who released the guy? Who removed his handcuffs? Who has been hiding him? What exactly is the interest of the military in this particular operation that led to this? So until we have an answer to all these questions, I think we can just start preparing ourselves for more of this kind of ugly situation.
Well, we certainly hope that we don't see more of this kind of situation. We are hoping that there will be a resolution which Nigerians will be aware of and which will bring justice to those who have been killed. We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you very much.
Olatunbo Bolarinwa is a security consultant and has been speaking to us on the incident that led to the killing of policemen in Taraba State and the eventual rearresting of the suspected criminal kidnapping kingpin. Now, that's been Sunrise Daily for this beautiful Thursday morning. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of it. Thank you for sending your comments and contributions as well. I'm Maukwe Ogunyesu.
Well, yes, we'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I am Kairi Okikiolu.
Now, Maya Makine, have a wonderful day.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.